about changing our lives. This month we've been talking prosperity. How many of you like prosperity? Yeah, how many like a big heaping full of prosperity? Anyway, we'll just open up, and this is the last, I think, Sunday of our prosperity talks. But what a beautiful way to take us out of October and into November. Can't wait till we find out what little gems are going to join us in November. Anyway, we're talking prosperity, and we're talking about the most important piece. So, Rev Joy-anne, let's bring her up.
Wow. Okay. There's abundance. Well, before we begin today, on the very last piece of the most important piece that I'll be sharing with you, I did want to share just a moment of silence with you for what has happened here in our country. I wanted to share something. It was a little bit interesting to me when this first happened, because I did not understand how things work, and I didn't really, because I've only been here a year, I didn't know that Ottawa was like our Washington, D.C. So I saw on the screen that Canada was attacked. And of course, as you know, when I hear something like that, I go into prayer. But I couldn't understand why one person who was making a difficult situation would cause the whole country to be attacked. You know, it didn't really make sense to me. So lucky for me that I called a couple people to find out. And then I was given the example that it would be the equivalent of someone getting into the White House with a gun and trying to shoot the president. So then it all made sense, because I just didn't quite get that. So I'm really grateful to Tom Graham, who is Reverend Alanda's husband, because he explained the whole thing very easily to a newcomer to hear. So anyway, it did make me very sad. I don't know why. I must have been tuning in to all of the people in our country who were feeling that sadness. And so I brought a bouquet. Would you bring that up for me? Thank you. I bought this yesterday as a part of a memorial that I personally did for all of our soldiers who have given up their lives. And whether or not we believe in war, we have sometimes have war protests or otherwise, but truly, when someone gives of their life, if someone gave their life for you, which indeed is what happened, and they're now transcended into the bliss of God, of course, it's still in the human part of us, we are sad. And I think it's important just to acknowledge this young man, 24-year-old, who, by the way, loved dogs, and probably puppies too. And it just seemed like just a wonderful person. And it was really hard for me to kind of wrap my mind around that. And so I just wanted for all of us, I bought this in honor of him, and I don't know where to put it. So, yes.
The avatar.
Okay, so I'm not even sure where that is. It's in the park, right? So I'll put it here. Just in memory, why don't we all just take a moment of silence, just 1 minute of silence, just to allow ourselves to get in touch with our heart. As we send our love and our blessings to this young man, and to all those who have given up their lives for their country or for another. So I just acknowledge that I am grateful for that. And I allow whatever sadness I feel to just flow from me in loving honor of that. And we say together, and so it is. Thank you for allowing me to do that. And that's why I went to the Legion yesterday, which I'm a member of, and got the poppies. Anyone who would like to have one, we have many. I see them all over, so I think you all have one already. So, all right, so this Sunday, as almost Reverend Ken said, is the completion of our Prosperity Month. And you notice once again, for the last time, on your seats, you will find an intention card. And you might be able to see the heart up here. We have reached about half of our goal. Our intention was by this Sunday, we would have reached our goal. And we would have a full red heart. But we need to be grateful for what we do have. So I just want to thank all of those who have signed an intention card and who are consciously aware that when you have a spiritual community, it is very important to give up your time, your talent, and your treasure. There are some people who believe if they give their time, that that's sufficient. But time is a blessing, and we appreciate that. But it takes all of these things for a center to thrive. And so I am so grateful for all of those of you who did do that. And if you haven't yet, you have an opportunity today to make a pledge, if you will, a financial pledge for 2015 to our center. And you will receive a gift that I personally made. It is the CD of Prosperity Affirmations. And I have quite a few of them up here. So you just fill out a card and sign it, and then you're welcome to take one of these. So again, I'm in deep appreciation. And today is actually called Celebration Sunday. I want to tell you why the balloons are not up. Did you wonder? I was here yesterday. I was asked to be a judge. I've never been a judge before. And they wanted me to judge their pie contest. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. I did not taste it, though. You had to look at the decorating of it. They had cakes, they had pies, they had canned goods, they had witches' hats, and they had every kind of contest, including painting. And me and the executive director of United Way, her and I were the judges, along with Penny, who is part of our congregation. So it was really fun. We gave ribbons. We got to give ribbons out, and we wanted to give ribbons to everybody, but we had to decide first place and second. So they had these balloons, and they were all up in celebration of the Fall Festival. And I asked her, I said, when you're done with the balloons, can we borrow them for today's celebration? And I said, will they still be up by Sunday? She said, oh, yes. So I thought that was interesting, but they look kind of colorful up here, don't they? So it's still a celebration. So again, thank you to each and everyone who has participated, and so much appreciation from all of us here at the center, so that we can continue to teach this beautiful, powerful teaching to the world and be a blessing, a world that works for everyone. So I want to have my first question, though, for this morning is, how did you all do this week with your prayer card experiment? How many of you had demonstrations? Did any? None of you? A few of you?
Explain what that
Okay, so last Sunday, we filled out a card that said I, and you put your name, and then accept, and we traded cards, and everybody prayed for your intention. We traded cards. And so I was very curious how many of you had demonstrations. I did. I had asked for more dancing, right? More dancing opportunities. And I'm just saying that it was increased by 100-fold. So it works, prayer works, and it's very powerful, and that's one of the reasons. So that's, any other big demonstrations? Ken, what did you have? Did you want to share that? The usual stuff. Okay. Anyone else have more unusual stuff? Lana, what happened?
I turned out, handed out limitless energy. I don't know who got it, but I got up and left here, and the energy was there. It was just there. You feel it. Gee, I was just walking down the street or something. And it lasted for about 3 days. So whoever got it, you can pray again.
Yeah, she would like some more to her. So she treated for energy, and she was just tapped in, tuned in, turned on. Okay, any other demonstrations that anyone would like to share? Yes, Kathy.
Mine was for Joy, and
Joy.
Before I left the celebration last Sunday, I noticed 3 times that little glimmer inside inside of yourself that is a joyful experience. So I think for me, it just made me more conscious of what I've been appreciating other times as well. So periodically through the week, I was just conscious of it.
Great. Good. That's perfect. So lots of joy for you, and you can feel that little energy thing happening. Good. All right, anyone else? Yes?
Well, I wasn't even here.
You weren't even here.
But I was in the office. I got to see the video, part of it.
Yes.
We're exchanging cards. So I'm kind of tapping on my own. And we're just new in town, so we're wanting to grow our business. So I kind of said a prayer to have an opportunity to meet people. And we just found out we live in Kamloops. In Sahali, there's a farmer's market in Kamloops there. And that's the perfect gift for us. I had no idea, and I didn't even think anyone for that energy.
Wow. Very good. So let's give ourselves a hand. Whoever has my card, keep on praying. I love to dance. My goal is to dance at every dance. And I have, so if you see me kind of, it's like, woo! I got a good workout and enjoyed every minute. At the curling club last night, we had a dance. It's really fun. Not on the ice though. It was just on the floor, All right, so for this whole 4 weeks in which today is completion, today is the completion day, we've been talking about prosperity, and we've been talking about it from the Latin root word to go forward in joy. And that is the definition of what it means really to prosper. And we've explored what it has to do with our lives in many ways. So prosperity is much, much more than just money. Money is lovely. We all need it on this planet. We need to have money. There's a great class I'd like to teach coming up, probably next year, called Financial Freedom. And it is all about realizing that we live on a planet where our exchange method on this planet, is money. And so that is an important aspect that we all experience or need to have in order to live, right? To have food and shelter and things. But it's so much more than that. There's a prosperity or an abundance of love, of peace, of beauty, of joy, of laughter, of harmony, of wholeness, of health, many, many other parts of it. And we've been studying prosperity, and I trust you have received some wonderful things that blessed your life in many ways, including the prayer cards that we did. I had someone come up to me after the service last week and thanked me for doing this series on prosperity because it's really made a difference in their life. And they said it made more sense to them than anything. So thank you for that feedback. So who remembers the 5 spiritual practices? Who remembers the 5 spiritual practices to up-level your prosperity? Anyone remember? Studies. You all remember that was the first week. One was study. What was the second week? It was service. And then meditation. And then it was prayer. And who remembers last week? Now, some of you said you really liked last week, especially last week, because it had to do with the law, the sacred law of mental equivalence. And the acronym is the law of me, or mental equivalence. So whenever you think about is what comes about. What we think about comes about. And so very important to be conscious of our thoughts. And you may already know that we think about 60,000 thoughts a day. So how many of those thoughts are positive, are uplifting, are nurturing and life-giving? And how many of those thoughts are not? So we need to be really thinking about that and conscious of that, to be awake. We learned already that if we desire riches, we must be rich in consciousness. And who remembers what consciousness is?
All our thoughts, words, emotions, and actions.
Right, thank you. Our thoughts, we should get a hand for that. Very good. She's got that one memorized. Little mama. Okay. She's so young. So yeah, that's very important and very good, very well said. So we learned that. That was good. And then we learned that God is friendly, and to really understand that at a deep level, that God, the whole universe is in a conspiracy for our good, and that there is an absolute unstoppable blessing that the universe is always expressing and looking for. We are the outlets for that. So if we can open up this outlet to be a divine receiver, the universe always giving of itself to all alike. So we already went over all of that. And we also talked a little bit about resistance, and we did some clearing. And then, of course, last week also I brought my Teflon pan. And that sometimes when we make a change in our life and it doesn't stick, it's like Teflon. And we're really looking for Velcro. Something where when we make a shift in consciousness, we up-level our life. It's sort of like some of us take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Anyone ever do that? With any program you're on, you go 2 steps forward, 2 steps forward, and 1 step back. So we don't want to keep stepping back. We want to keep moving our consciousness to expansion. And what I know to be true is that people can say grand and glorious things, but you will know what they believe by what shows up in our lives. So what is your life like? Where do you live? What kind of home do you have? What kind of friends do you have? And I already shared this once before, that you will become who you hang out with in 5 years. So you want to make sure that your friends are also positive. I've talked to people before that shared they had friends who were not very positive. They were always looking at the cup as half empty. Anyone have friends like that? So you want to be looking at and hanging out with people that are uplifting and positive, because that's what happens to you. You are deeply affected by that. So the last and most important piece I'll be sharing with you now, who wants to guess what that might be? The last and most important piece of the prosperity puzzle. I like these little people. They look like very happy little people up here. I like that. The most important piece. Anyone want to guess what that might be? That's right. And it's called giving back. What would happen right now if this was your last day on planet Earth? And you were going to be, you got a little note in the mail that said, this is your last day. We don't usually have that. Would you look back in your life and see having made a contribution to the lives of others? To give back. So this is a really big piece, and it is the final piece that I'll be sharing with you today. And I believe it's the most important piece as well, because we live in a universe that is always in circulation. It's very dynamic. We're taught this in science, that everything is movement, nothing is static, everything is moving. So we want to keep circulation. What would happen if you ate and that was it? You had no releasing. We don't want to think about that, right? What would happen? Yeah, if we took in a big breath, let's all take in a big breath, and then we didn't let it out. What would happen? So we live in an exchange. We live in a universe that is in constant and dynamic exchange, and so there is a giving back. So simply stated this way, giving back will change your life. It will literally shift the DNA that is inside of you. And I believe and have experienced that myself. What I have found is that for me personally, when there is any fear of giving, when there's any fear of giving back, whether it's your time, for some people it's time. Their fear is to giving back or giving their time. Or for other people it's their talent, and for other people it's their money. That if they give their money, there won't be enough. So what kind of fear is that? What is that fear of what? Fear of lack. So if you're afraid to give money to support your spiritual center, then there is a fear inside of you of lack. There's not going to be enough. Not going to be enough. So about 6,000 years ago, there was a covenant, very important covenant that was made. And I love how it says here, I love this quote, that you move into a covenant with the divine, with God, and in partnership with God, that if you are willing to give back to the divine in glad recognition of what we already have, we are acknowledging the divine as our source. So we are giving back. We are saying, I have enough. I have something to give. If we say, no, I'm not giving my time, I'm not giving my talent, and I'm definitely not giving my money or my treasure, then I'm telling the universe, what am I telling the universe? That I don't have enough. And what happens if you walk around saying and feeling and vibing, if you have this feeling inside of you, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough, what's going to happen to you? That becomes, as Dr. Holmes says, your words become fall out of your mouth and become the clothes you wear. So it is so important that we are very conscious of our consciousness, as little Mama said, of our words, our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions about how we think about that. And I know, absolutely know beyond the shadow of doubt, that giving back works. And there was a time in my life, maybe about 30 years ago actually, where there was no reason for me to prosper. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have I had some education. I had not yet studied in ministerial school for a total of 8 years. And so I was really wanting to understand this whole idea of prosperity. I began to give back my time. I was a Eucharistic minister in the Catholic Church, which meant I served Holy Communion. And you have to be very careful you don't drop the host. You get demerits for that. So I was, very conscious. So I wasn't at that time giving back. So I began to give back my time, my talent, and my treasure. And my whole life changed for the better. And that was when I specifically found the science of mind. It really changed my life for the better. So I'm just telling you that this stuff, this application of this last very important piece is giving back. You're giving back. It really does work. Really, really, really powerful. And I feel that giving back money is a piece of cake compared to time. For me, time is a little, I'm always busy, and for other people, maybe time is a constraint. Anyone here have constraints with time? You're always busy. Too busy? Everyone here too busy? Busy every weekend, busy every night? Yeah, sometimes that happens. So I absolutely knew it was God's gift, or God's expressing through me, that was giving back. In the Eastern culture, you may have found or may have studied this, they give like crazy. In our Western culture, and they give things up easily, like if you're in India. Here, we believe that I am what I have. Anyone ever think about that? I am what I have. And you're not. You're much more than that. You're much greater than that. You're much huger than that. And so the thing that is really important and really I feel so powerful to get is that spiritually inspired giving, which is what we do when we feel motivated to do that, when we feel that we are giving of our time, our talent, and our treasure, really is here to bless us. And I want to share with you a couple of things that I found this week that talked about that why it's so important to give back. And there are 5 things that happen to you when you give back. The first one is that you feel happy. When you are able to give back your time, your talent, or your treasure, it makes you happy. They did a study at Harvard Business School, and they found that gifting money to someone else lifted participants' happiness level even more, because in this study, the students thought that they would feel better giving the money to themselves, right? I'm going to give this money to myself. And it didn't make them as happy as it did to give to another. And so these good feelings are reflected in our biology. So when we give, it actually is a blessing not only in our mind, in our heart, in our soul, but also in our body when we give back. Number 2 is giving back is good for our health, as I just shared. There's a wide range of research that has linked different forms of generosity to better health, and especially for seniors and for others in need. So when we give and we offer a helping hand to our brother or our sister, it really helps us in our health. It's very important. Number 3, giving back promotes cooperation and social connection. That when we give to someone, they are very happy. How many of you would like to receive a check for, say, $10,000? If someone wrote you a check for $10,000, we could all use that, right? And if someone did that, how would you feel? Oh, someone's going, yeah. So it's a gift to the receiver, right? But it's also a gift to you. When you are willing to give of your time, your talent, and your treasure, it really is a gift. So it actually fosters connection. Number 4 is giving back increases your gratitude. And gratitude, as you know, is a great multiplier. So when you say, I am grateful, you actually increase it doubles, and then you become grateful for everything. I love the rain. I love this day. I'm glad I'm alive. You become grateful just to be. And so it multiplies gratitude. And the fifth thing is that giving back is contagious in a good way. And so it has the ripple effect. So when you give of your time, your talent, and your treasure, it actually goes forward from you as a living blessing, and it touches people that you may not have ever even met. It's like a helping hand, opening a door, a smile, give them a flower, give them money. They like that. One of my board president, his name is Will Richardson, and he is from Medford. He carried in his car at all times, in his, the cup in your car that holds things. He kept in there about $25 bills. And anytime anyone on the street asked him for money, he just gave it to them. He said, I just feel, and someone would say, well, what if they're buying like drugs or alcohol? And he said, that's none of my business. He said, my job is I'm a divine giver. And so he just carried this at all times and just gave. And he was incredibly blessed financially in his life. He was giving of his time. He's the board president. He gave of his talent in many different ways, and he gave of his treasure. And his life was overflowing with blessings, and still is. So very important that we do that. And so one of the pieces I just wanted to say, though, is that, and this is going to sound kind of funny, but God, or the universe, God does not need our money. God has all the money in the universe. God has the overflowing abundance of the universe. And so we want to really be awake about that. But a spiritual community, a church, if you will, does need your money for its support, for its ongoing teaching. And so it's important that we understand that, because when we give back and we say to the universe, I am giving, it blesses us in so many ways. And so there's one last piece that I think is very important, and that I find when people are not willing to give of their time, their talent, or their treasure, the reason that you don't is usually the same reason that is blocking you from your good. And so today we're just going to uncover that in our meditation time. We're just going to explore. We're going to ask ourselves, what is the reason that I may choose not to give of my time, of my talent, or of my treasure, and then see what that reason is for you. Is it I don't have enough? I don't have enough time, I don't have enough talent, I have no talent, or I have no money to give. When we think of that, that's the same reason that is blocking us. And today we're going to clear that and uncover that so that we can open up to an ever greater possibility in our lives. So I'm going to ask our wingmen to play, and we're just going to go right into a beautiful meditation that will really reveal to us whatever is blocking us from our highest expansion in prosperity and abundance. So I invite you simply to close your eyes and just to, on this beautiful fall rainy day, just allow yourself to kind of sink into your chair. And I invite you to open your heart to the highest possibility of expansion of prosperity and abundance, of the all good of God. And I invite you to allow the presence and the power and the love of God to reveal to you itself this morning. To reveal to you your truth that will set you free, your truth. And to begin the process of knowing that this truth is the opportunity to release any blocks that you may have to receiving. Anything that is holding you back from your highest and greatest yet to be. And to ask yourself, why is it that I do not give back? And you will have a reason. And just allow yourself to know that reason so we can release and clear it. And there are all good reasons. There are valuable reasons. There are worthwhile reasons that we may have. But they are reasons. And just allow yourself to know whatever that might be for you. So what is your block that keeps you from giving back to the source of spiritual inspiration? What is that reason? And allow that reason and that belief to become very clear to you now. There might be a reason, and at the very core of that reason, there might be a belief in lack or limitation or poverty or not enoughness. Because many people on our planet have those beliefs. A lot of people have that. But see what it is for you. What is it that is holding me back? What is my block to giving back? And now if you choose, you can take advantage of this sanctuary and this safe place, surrounded by people who are doing similar journeys, who are similarly willing to discover more about themselves and their relationship with the infinite. And if you choose, you can join me in releasing that belief, releasing that block. And the way that we will do this morning is to very simply release the belief at least 3 times as a beginning point, and then continue to release the block. So in your mind and in your own words, say to yourself, I now release this block or anything that is holding me back. And then name your belief or your idea or concept or reason. I now release any block to my highest and best expression. And then name what your belief is. I now release that belief, whatever is holding me back. I now release whatever block is holding me back from my highest, greatest, next yet to be experience of prosperity and abundance, of all good. I release the belief, I release the block. And now in your mind, silently say with me, as I say this, you can say it to yourself in your mind. We are affirming that God or Spirit is the life I am. Spirit is the life I am. Spirit is the life I am. And Spirit is the wealth that I am. Spirit is the prosperity and abundance I am. Spirit is the wealth I am. God is the health I am. Spirit is the health that I truly am, the truth of me. Infinite, I am presence is the health I am. And finally, that God or Spirit is the love I am. God is the love I am. God is the love I am. And I open my heart to experience that love, to experience that health, to experience that wealth, to experience my God self. And so in this consciousness, awareness, of knowing the presence and the power of God is revealing to me, to us, our own truth, our own ideas that keep us from expressing fully, from giving fully, which allows us to receive fully, knowing it is God's good pleasure, and that we are so open that the flow of life has absolutely no restrictions now. The flow of abundance, of health, of well-being, of love has no restrictions now. No restrictions now. And I give thanks that this is so, that the Spirit of God, the presence of God, the truth of God, the love of God reveals to us all what we need to know, that we may grow and shine and hold the glory of God in our heart and be the givingness of life, the givingness of blessings to all humanity. So that when it is time for me to leave the planet, I leave behind a legacy of love, of life, of beauty, of joy, of prosperity and abundance, of the givingness of God through me. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. Thank you, life. Thank you so much for releasing whatever block is holding me back from giving and therefore receiving the great good of God. And so in gratitude and thanksgiving and the open-heartedness of the divine as me, I just am in such gratitude as we say together, and so it is. Song.